Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmiritam Yenam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gorachandraya Radhikaye Tadaraye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Reading from Vedanta Sutra, 3rd chapter, 2nd part, Sutra 11 to 23. So the glory of the Supreme Lord has been told in different other sutras that we have seen. He is the controller of the different states of consciousness, waking state, dreaming state, deep sleep state. He creates the dream when the image in your dreams. He's the cause of bliss in deep sleep, the source of wonder in fainting. Those are attributes of the Supreme Brahman meant to create a yearning for God. This is what Madhvacharya, Sripad Madhvacharya, today is his appearance day. And this pada, this section that we are studying is called Bhakti Pada by Madhvacharya. So we're going to see how he fits in Vedanta. Now the subject matter after this subject of waking, dreaming and deep sleep state is to understand how Brahman is one and many, same and different. So the Sutra 11th is Nasta Naptopi Parasyo Bhayalingam Sarvatrahi. There is no imperfection in Brahman anywhere, because everywhere, Sarvatra, he is described as having Ubhayalingam, twofold characteristic. The para in that sutra means Brahman, para means the highest, and the two words Ubhaya Lingam, twofold nature. Sarvatra means everywhere in the scriptures. So Sripad Shankaracharya is saying, oh, this is the description of two Brahman. There's one lower Brahman called Apara Brahman, Saguna Brahman, that takes all the different qualities of this world, Ishvara. And then there's Para Brahma, like this wording here, Para, which indicate Nirvishesha Brahma. Brahman devoid of all characteristic. And there's two kinds of statements in Holy Scriptures, in the Shrutis. One that say, for example, Sarva Karma, Sarva Kama, Sarva Gandha, Sarva Rasam, that Brahman is all work, all desires, all smell, all rasa. And then other kinds of Shrutis are saying, Ashabdam, Asparsham, Marupam, Mavyayam, Manantam. This is negative. Brahman is without sound, without form, without taste, without nothing. Shankaracharya, he concludes that Nirguna Shrutis that glorify the Nirvishesha Brahma, are more important than the Saguna Shruti. Because the goal of Upanishad is to teach this Brahman above everything else. So this Saguna Brahma, Saguna Shruti describing all the qualities of the Lord, it's just to help meditate. But ultimately, Brahman is beyond words, beyond speech, beyond mind, and it is completely formless. This is how he understands this sutra. But it is a biased argument. Because if you say only the Nirvishesha Shruti are important, and those Shruti, those Upanishad that describe the qualities of the Lord are less important, why can't you say the other, what can you turn it around and say exactly the opposite, as Vaishnava do? The Saguna Shruti are more important than the Nirvishesha Shruti, saying that when the Lord is being described with qualities and everything, this is more important than when he's formless. That's exactly what is happening. So Sripad Ramanujacharya, he's saying that the word Ubhaya Lingam is very important for his philosophy actually. This Ubhaya linga, meaning that linga is a nature, ubhaya, both. He has two nature. Not two Brahman, but two nature. The same Brahman has a nature of being free from all imperfection. And he is endowed with all the good qualities. The three stages of consciousness, waking, deep sleep, and dreaming and deep sleep, don't affect Brahman. And then neither does disease, old age, and death. And when Paramatma lives in the heart, he's not sullied or polluted by all the different imperfection of the body, stool, blood, pus, urine. Neither is the soul also, but especially Paramatma. Two birds on the tree. This is Rig Veda, Mundaka Upanishad, Shvetashvarata Upanishad, describing two birds are on the same tree. And one is eating the fruits of the tree. The other one is only looking. The one that is eating the fruit, bitter and sweet, is the living entity, the Jivatma. And the one that is looking and only witnessing is Paramatma. So Paramatma is not affected. But the Jiva, he takes birth because he becomes illusion. This is how Sripad Ramanujacharya is understanding this sutra. Now Madhvacharya has a very different understanding. To him, Ubhaya, in the Ubhaya Lingam, means separated. And to him, the sutra means there's no difference according to places. It's the sthana, the word sthana is there. Sarvatra, anywhere, there's no difference according to the variety of avatar. No difference between avatar and Brahman. According to Madhvacharya, the word Brahman means God. The God of religion, the God that we see in major theistic religion, this is Brahman. And there's no difference between the Supreme Brahman, who is Vishnu, according to Madhvacharya, and the different avatars. So he's quoting Srimad Bhagavatam. Very rarely do the Bhashyakara or the commentators are quoting Bhagavatam, but he's quoting the Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhishmadev is lying on the bed of arrows, and he's giving prayers to Krishna, and one of them is like that. As the wise know him, meaning Krishna, to be only one like the sun, in the same way, having shaken all the wrong notion of difference between the various forms of avatar and the Lord, I understand this Krishna to be the unborn eternal Lord, manifested in various forms, each almighty, in the heart of all embodied beings created by himself. Bhishmadev is actually witnessing the beautiful form of Partha Sarati, Krishna driving the chariot of Arjuna. He made a vow, because Duryodhana, he was saying, Bhishmadev, you are the strongest fighter. How come the Pandavas are still winning? So Bhishmadev, he made a vow. I am going to make everything, I'm going to kill this Arjuna. Actually, in his heart, he wanted to see Krishna take weapon, because Krishna has told everybody, I will not participate in the war. I will only drive the chariot, but I will not take weapons. But Bhishmadev, being a Kshatriya, he wants to see that form of the Lord. So he does everything, shooting one arrow after the other at Arjuna. And Arjuna is like completely overwhelmed. And the chariot actually breaks down. And Krishna gets down of the chariot and is very furious. He wants to protect his devotees. So he picks up, not his Sudarshan Chakra, he picks up one of the wheel of the chariot and is about to hurl it to Bhishmadev. And then Bhishma surrendered. And then on the bed of arrow, when he's lying to die, he's remembering this. He's saying, when I saw you covered with blood by the shot of my arrows, it was reminding myself of this Krishna in Vrindavan being kissed by the love of the gopis, being beaten to blood by the lovers. That's actually the explanation of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, quoted by Srila Prabhupada. He quotes this. He says that in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. He quotes Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur who says Bhishma Dev, he sees Krishna as the lover, like the gopis. And Srila Prabhupada goes on in his purport saying there's no difference between Partha Sarathi in the battlefield of Kurukshetra and Radha Govinda in Vrindavan. But we have to understand, Srila Rupa Goswami made that point clear also. He said there's no difference between Vishnu and Krishna. There's no difference in Tattva Siddhanta. There's no difference between Narayan Krishna and Vasudev Krishna and Gopi Jana Balaba in Vrindavan. But in Rasa, very much difference. The Krishna in Kurukshetra, it's not the same as the Krishna playing the flute on the bank of the Yamuna. But otherwise, there's no difference. So Srila Madhvacharya, just to show how the link without Gauriya Vedanta, he's saying, no difference between Brahman and his different avatar. Then the Vedanta Sutra also described how Brahman is arupa, has no form. There's a sutra like this. Arupavat evahi tat pradaratvat. And Srila Madhvacharya is saying this arupa means he doesn't have a material form. So he's arupa. He doesn't have any color. Then he quotes this verse from the Chandogya Upanishad. Shyamak shabaram prapadye, shabarat shamam prapadye. From Sham, the black, I go to Shabala, the white. From Shabala, the white, I go to Sham, I surrender, prapadye. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he quotes this verse many times saying this is Radha Krishna. From Krishna I go to Radha, from Radha I go to Krishna. The two combined make Gauranga. So this is a very important verse. Srila Madhvacharya is quoting it. He doesn't go into the Rasa Tattva, but he knows everything. He just doesn't reveal it. He knows everything. From Madhvacharya comes Madhavendra Puri. The branch of Madhva divides in two. There are those who actually follow the Siddhanta and the Varnashram Dharma. They are called Tattvavadis. And then the Haridasavadi are those who take on the holy name and become ecstatic by chanting the holy name. This is in Madhvacharya Sampradaya. And Shripad Madhavendra Puri, he's the root of this ras, bhakti ras. So, he also said later on, Srimad Madhvacharya, because Vedanta Sutra also speak in the same different sutra that Brahman is avyakta, non-manifested. So, Shripad Madhvacharya is saying, yes, he's avyakta, he's not visible to the mundane eyes. And at the same time, the goal of sadhana means to have direct vision, aparoksha jnana, direct vision, direct understanding of Brahman. So how do we reconcile the two, he said? Well, because by grace, by mercy. You cannot see God, but by grace you can see Him. And this is the goal of Upanishads. This is the goal of Puranas. And this is the goal of our sadhana. To practice in such a way that God will be interested in showing you His grace. And therefore you'll see Him. So you'll see the non-visible. Also, Shripad Madhvacharya is saying, this grace is also through His Achintya Shakti. This Shakti which is Agatana Gatana. Agatana Gatana Shakti means it can do the impossible. But this is also our Siddhanta and Gauriya Vedanta. So we can see that Shripad Madhvacharya is setting the different grain that will be germinating. Actually, Srila Bharadev Vidyabhushan is saying the same thing here in these commentaries. So then there's an objection. Someone may say there's a difference in essence in Brahman's original form and his avatar form. There's a form of Rama, Krishna, Nrsimha, celebrated by hundreds of men and women of their time. And some people like Abhakta, they saw Ram, Krishna, like Ravana, Duryodhana, Hiranyakashipu from Nrsimhadev. And they didn't receive any grace. They saw him. Because Madhvacharya is saying you can only see Brahman in his original form by grace, through grace. But they didn't have any grace. They didn't practice even bhakti. So his answer is that many people saw Krishna, many people saw Ram in his time, but they didn't understand who he was. They only saw the Mayic form. They didn't have the mundane eye, they didn't have the spiritual eyes, only mundane eyes. So they saw him as ordinary person. Brahman has to be understood and seen through bhakti. If you have no bhakti, you don't see. So they didn't get moksha and they didn't get Brahma. Madhvacharya, he went directly to see Srila Vyasadeva. He went South India by foot all the way to the Himalaya. On the way, he met in Himalaya big bear. He fought with the bear, and the bear, he didn't kill the bear, but he fought him with his own hands. He was a very strong person, and the bear disappeared. And he went all the way, all alone. His disciple could not follow him all the way up. He went to inquire from Srila Vyasadeva, what is the meaning of Vedanta? What is the meaning of Mahabharata? What is the meaning of Bhagavad Gita? What is the meaning of all the different Upanishads? And Srila Vyasadeva, who compiled all of those works, he gave everything. Sripad Madhvacharya is one of the first Acharya who wrote a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, and also Mahabharata, and also Rig Veda, and the different Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, and so on and so forth. He got direct answer from Srila Vyasadeva because he thought there's no one qualified to be a genuine guru in this time. Nobody who can teach the real Siddhanta. So I go directly to the master. And Srila Prabhupada wrote in one of his books, I actually asked him that question. He said, Prabhupada, if you think there's nobody qualified in this movement, this Hare Krishna movement, you can go and inquire directly from the spiritual master. It's written in Chaitanya Charitamritam. Whoever wants to get the reference, I can give, because I wrote it down. So same thing. If someone is thinking that there's no one qualified, then he has to go to the original, but not whimsically, not like mind game and, Prabhupada talked to me, but he didn't really talk to me. Vyasadeva appeared to me. No, really going through the channel to go see the original guru. So that is why Sripad Madhavendra Puri and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they chose Madhvacharya. They appear in that line. Madhvacharya chose Krishna as his Ishtadev. He has this Udupi Krishna in South India. And he was completely uncompromising. There's only one God. Actually, dualism is not true. You see often he's going like this, but there's no duality. There's only God. Everything comes from God. All the jivas, everything comes from God. So it is not true that it is a dualism. It is pure theism, actually. Pure theism. That only God is there and we are meant to serve Him and to learn how to love Him. Thank you very much. Panchakarpa tarubhyacha kripa sindhu bhyayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.